Listen,
Fellas, it's gonna be one of them nights.
It's gonna be. I'm telling you. Man, here we are, another Tuesday night at 9 o'clock, man. Prototype Dad in the building, man. Ready to bring y'all a fantastic show. We're going to try to get this thing done, man, in a terrific way. You understand? So, man, we know how we started off, man. What's your news of the week, bro?
Let's see. News of the week. Man, get your hurricane flood insurance right if you're in Florida.
Yeah.
Golly, boy, they getting punished down there, man. So that's the biggest thing is I've been keeping my eye on, and kind of with the work in the industry that I'm in. Obviously, it's been affected to where we had to kind of support the folks where the power was out and wherever the storm damage was. So I've been doing a little bit of that, helping out those folks. So
I wonder if you could just, because they generate something here, can you just send that resource to other places?
Probably no, because you don't have the infrastructure.
Okay, right. Because I'm thinking it's all closed network, right? Maybe
that would be. I wonder why they don't. But no, I wonder why they don't.
It's not closed network. Or are you saying it?
I wonder why it's not. No, it's not. I don't say. What do you mean by closed network? Like it doesn't. It's not piped into like the next state over. Is that what you're saying?
Yes. Right. I mean, unless
it's
they
not,
own it, right? But yeah. It's not piped into
I don't know.
State over.
Yeah, I wish it was. I don't know why it isn't.
Why would you wish that? That would become a little kind of like the railroad system. It become monopolized, wouldn't it? But I guess you own your section of it. Is that how you?
Yeah, I mean, like, and really, because you don't really own. You really only own what you generate, and then you own the infrastructure, like the real estate. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah. So so in Texas, I remember back in the day in Texas, when they deregulated it, that's when like everybody was like, oh, they thought it was a good idea until a storm happened. And like people was getting $500 electric bills and stuff like that. You remember that? Like that's what happens when you let people just kind of be, they do the whole capitalist thing instead of just being like, yeah, we want you to make a fair amount, but you can't gouge us. So.
No, I could dig it. $500 electric bills be crazy, man. Well, we're about to
look, man. I bet I still got a heat one. I ain't paid from back in Denora, man. It was $500. Allegheny Power. I think that would have cost. I was like $500 for gas.
I'm out of here.
Yeah, I got up out of there.
And that was a small crib. It was like 2 bedrooms. Right. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, what? How did this happen?
Boy, must have had some leaks.
No, but the Florida news definitely been the biggest news. I'm kind of on alert on it. I think K coming up because everybody like trying to evacuate. You know what I'm saying? So
for sure.
So I think that's something that everybody's kind of worried about. I was looking at how big hurricanes were. It's not as big as as other ones. You know what I'm saying? Like Katrina, but it's definitely displacing people. You know what I'm saying?
But Katrina, so Katrina, it wasn't that Katrina was that big. So back what I did back then,
it was the infrastructure.
Yeah, like so it wasn't like the storm itself wasn't like that catastrophic. What it was man, they broke them levees on purpose, and you know what I mean. So conspiracy. No, I mean it ain't conspiracy. Like it was like really what happened. So I mean, because they were trying to save other more lucrative or other high value places. So it wasn't a conspiracy. Like they did it on purpose. Now they didn't expect those people. Like they told them people to get out of there, evacuate, stuff like that. So they didn't expect that to happen. But no, they deliberately broke the levees. And working for the company I worked for at the time, we sold lumber and stuff like that. So I was actually one of the first people down there. And stuff that I saw was just rough, man. Like that's probably what it's like when you, what they call it, like when it's the wild, wild west.
Yeah.
Like, City Hall was gone. So folks,
Hey, yeah,
let's put it like this. Yeah, ain't no colonizers was living in Denoya or the Ninth Ward and stuff like that. They was coming up here talking about, yeah, I'm staking claim to this parcel. Yeah, this mine now.
Period.
Because they thought everybody died who owned that land.
Yeah. No, I get it.
Yeah, it was wild like that.
I get it. What you think about NFL this past weekend?
So, I mean, as far as let's start with the Steelers because it is what it is. Man, I hate that we lost that game. Man, it was right there. And it kind of goes back to what I had been talking about the past few weeks. Man, folks don't really want to, they don't want to call their baby ugly when they keep winning pageants. But like I was saying, I was like, yo, this ain't good enough offense to really win consistently or to beat a competent quarterback. And that's what we found out. I'm still of the belief that, hey, man, when Russ is healthy, man, I say give him a shot.
Yeah, I agree, man.
Yeah, I say give him a shot.
It would have been hard if Fields would have pulled this one off. Like 4-1, you know what I'm saying? Like that's a solid record, and you know what I mean. Like Russ probably wasn't going to get it, which I'm okay with because what I'm really looking forward to is Russ coming in at the back end of the season and getting us over the hump. Like whatever,
that's what we need anyway, right?
Yeah, that's what we need. Making it to the playoffs, we could do that with just about anybody. But having a healthy roster come playoff time and somebody competent enough to get us over those humps where we couldn't produce, bro. I don't care if Russ sits out the whole season, bro. And maybe
because you're right, because calling it like we could potentially get to the first round of the playoffs with Justin Fields.
Yep.
We probably wouldn't win a playoff game.
Right.
Yeah, it'd be the same.
But here's the thing though, right? And this is a beautiful way of let's say how to handle the contract with Russ having a 1-year deal and having to extend them both. Let Fields get all the reps, all the PT that he can throughout the season. We're going to make the playoffs. Period. Ain't no ifs, ands, or buts about it, right? Russ comes in. Now it's Fields' turn to fake an injury, but shown us enough to sign him to a long-term deal. Russ is going to do enough to get us past the hump, possibly to the Super Bowl. Gives them both an opportunity, Russ to be valued somewhere else, to go somewhere else, get another check. Us extend Fields. Everybody's happy. Like I feel like Tomlin's that smart because it's no different from what he did with Flores, in my opinion.
So, well, that's debatable, but I think that Tomlin, he played this really well because he's been setting it up that whole time. Like he hasn't rolled this emotional roller coaster of saying like, ooh, 4-1, whatever. Like, oh yeah, we got to keep you. He was like, hey man, Justin's here because QB wants hurt. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When he's healthy, we'll look at it then. So as things have kind of been happening, you kind of be like, hey, well, Russ is healthy. Even though like he don't even have to like badge Justin, be like Justin played bad, so he going back. He'll be like, hey man, I told y'all QB1's ready now. Go ahead, roll him in there because this is the whole point is I want to see Justin get some development because just athletically and just on his natural gifts, he can do what he's doing. But it's the other parts that we need him to learn and to develop, and hopefully him seeing a professional do it will help him. And that's only going to be better for us in the long run. So. I'm actually hoping at some point he has to sit and watch Russ do it. Whether he's successful or not, doesn't matter.
I think he's sitting and watching from a preparation standpoint, right? Because Russ is one of those guys that prepare at a very efficient level, right? So even to see that on the back end, oh, this is how I'm supposed to prepare. Oh, carry this, do that. You know what I'm saying? Oh, this is how you film watch. This is how you break it down. That mentorship is important. In the locker room, you understand what I'm saying? Regardless of when Russ comes in and gets reps at all, I think he's going to need his reps at some point, right? He's going to need those reps at some point just to prepare to take us to the long haul and not be so cold. But I agree. He is practicing against one of the better teams in the NFL too.
So I agree that mentorship is important. That's teaching them how to be a pro. But what I'm seeing is telling me like he needs to actually see it and then he can imitate it. You know what I mean? Like, so like I'm sure he's getting all the preparation. He's in the room with Russ and he's doing all the right things Monday through Saturday. But for whatever reason, Sunday, man, it's not doing what I'm expecting to see for somebody who's a proficient quarterback and doing what we need him to do at a high level.
I think that'll take time. That'll take time. But man, let's jump right into this, man. We got a lot of questions to cover, man. And,
hold on, man. I got some books, man. I wanna shout out.
Yeah,
man.
okay. What you think yourself?
So now I haven't actually read them yet. I bought them a while back. So the book's by John Hope Bryant. It's called Financial Literacy for All. Okay. It's really dope book. I don't know if you can see it.
Yeah, move it closer. Move it to the camera.
Yeah, so I don't say if I do that, it ain't gonna show. That's why I had it back.
That's weird. Oh, you gotta be against the flag.
Yeah, but yeah, I'm really interested in that book, man. Me and my daughter went to a conference, and man, I like what he was talking, so I bought the book, man. I was like, oh,
when did you go to a conference? See what
this dude talking about. This was a couple months ago,
That's
man.
Dope.
It was it was dope. A lot of like it was about tech and about financial literacy and upward mobility and stuff like that. And I was like, man, who is this? Like, I didn't really know about him too tough at the time. It was pretty dope.
What's her thoughts about tech in the industry? Like, did she think about it at all?
No, it's just because of her generation. I think it's just part of life for her. She doesn't even see it as an industry almost. She just sees it as like it's a necessary evil. And I'm like, this wasn't always the case. And now, granted, she wants to be in law. So my thought is to be able to, hey, tech law could be you know what I mean?
So that's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm thinking, right? Like, so like, is the wheels turning that way? Like, okay, law.
So for me, yes,
insert tech at everything.
Yeah. So for me, and they paying. You know what I mean? Like, right. Whatever you're doing and whatever your industry is, if you do it in tech, you probably make 45% more.
Absolutely.
I'm guessing. So, we're a long way from there, but I just try to plant the seeds or whatever. But yeah. And then the second book,
what is that?
It is called The Capitalist N-Word. Yeah.
Oh,
so, man.
I'm about to borrow those books.
Yeah. So
is it along the lines of what we talked about?
I don't know. I haven't read it yet.
Okay.
So just off the I can't remember if somebody on one of the pods recommended it or just off the name itself. I bought it. Yeah. I was like, let's see what you're talking about. So we'll see. But yeah, so those are the two things that's what's up next. And like I said, generally during football season, I don't really do a lot of reading, but man, I got so frustrated the last 2 weeks, man. I went back to kind of like, I need to do something with this bad energy. But yeah, that's kind of what I'm feeding myself right. Oh, and then lastly, man, I've been watching that FX series on what's my man's name? Aaron Hernandez. That's been very interesting too.
I've been trying to stay away from it. I've been trying to stay away from stuff like that. Even the Diddy thing, like I've been trying to stay away from those kind of things.
So on that, I believe, and this is just my point of view. I believe they are sensationalizing it. I don't believe like they're making like because dude, man, he caught a lot. Supposedly, allegedly, he caught a lot of bodies, and he was a wild boy. And supposedly, so we got some feedback. Oh yeah, so and. Man, but they're like really playing on his sexuality, and think about it, man. Like think about it, man. We were in locker rooms in between 2000 2005. You wouldn't able to be able to have the stuff they had show him getting into, and it would have been people would have batted an eye at it. So I believe they're trying to sensationalize it, and the people that quote unquote knew him and were the closest with him was like, I don't know about this. Yeah, they're like, this don't feel right to me. Like it's possible, but they're like, I didn't see none of that.
Yeah.
And like the people that was like the closest to him was like Cam Newton, the Pouncey twins. You know what I mean? Like they was like, yeah, like I didn't see none of that. And I saw an interview with Cam Newton where Cam was like, man, when I left, because he says he didn't get kicked out of Florida at all. He said he left.
Yeah.
He said when he left, the only dude that ever reached out to him after he was gone, and which was in a really dark place, when he had to go out to Blinn, was Aaron Hernandez. Like he said, that's how close they were, and he was like, "Yeah, I don't like how y'all doing my man's legacy. This is kind of wild, but you know, interesting. Is it?
Yeah.
Hey, you know,
Because I think it kind of it's those documentaries were there to skew your opinion about somebody. You like, you know what I'm saying? Like I said, even the Diddy one, I was just like, it shows on my TV every day, right? Like,
oh, there's one out already.
It been out.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Months. Yeah, it been out for months. Like it's like as soon as he got the first allegation with the Cassie thing.
They had it on deck.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, it released it like bang bang, like you know what I'm saying.
Did they do it like R. Kelly? Did they do it like R. Kelly, the Surviving series? Did they do him like that?
Yes, it's something like that.
Yeah, that's a witch hunt, man. I don't be liking. Oh, look, here's the thing. I don't look. All I want is I want equal treatment across the board. I always say that. I know it's a broken record. Okay, if you're gonna do ours like that, the R. Kellys, the P. Diddy's, whatever. When we gonna have an Epstein one?
Because when we own a network,
but why support it? But why support a lynching of your own?
Entertainment. Well, you know, entertainment, bro. Like you know what I'm saying. Like
so I think that's something we need to really be thinking about, man. Like we really be watching the tarring and feathering of our heroes.
I wouldn't say he's a hero, but I got you.
To some people, he is. That's the whole reason that it's entertaining to them. You know how I feel. If you sing and dance, you can't be my hero. But whatever.
Yeah. But man, first question: is it okay to not like your kid?
To not like them?
Yeah.
No, that's not okay. However,
let's get to
but there's a caveat to like you could not like what they do, but to not like them, that's tough. Now here's what I can say. Sometimes if you're in a co-parenting type situation, like they could potentially be like the other parent and it could trigger you, like you taking on too much of the other parent, and then that could trigger a person. But yeah, like I'm knocking on wood. I hope that I would never get to a point where I would not like my kid, but you can totally not like what they do though. So and you know, like I remember Boosie was talking about this recently, you know, because his daughter is LGBTQ or whatever, and he was like, I don't approve of it, and he was like, she can't bring her partner to my house, and people was bashing him like, how you gonna bash him about his? Like he ain't say she had to change. He just said you can't bring it here. So that's him not liking her actions, but that's not him not liking the kid. And I think that's okay.
I think it's completely fine not to like your kid.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Your kid is your kid, right? And here's where I'm going with this, right? So like, me and my mom didn't get along for years. Like, and as I was a kid growing up, I didn't like her. She didn't like me. And we openly had this, that's my mom, you're my son kind of situation. But I mean, it kind of turned into no different from a co-working situation. You don't like everybody you work with, but out of the duty of your job, you don't be disrespectful. You know what I'm saying? You still do your job. If they need help, you help them. Like, you know what I'm saying? To the extent of the job. You know what I'm saying? But that don't mean you like that person. You're just doing your job. So, I mean, it becomes that kind of relationship where like, oh, we co-workers, we teammates. You didn't like every teammate you ever played with. You know what I'm saying? But that's your teammate. And to get through the job, that's what you had to do. You know what I'm saying? Right. So I think it works along those lines for me, but like, cause you could really not like somebody. Like your kid could be somebody you don't like. If your kid is a stone cold killer, you know what I mean?
You could love somebody and not like them.
Absolutely.
Wow. Okay.
Absolutely. But it could be even just out of duty. This is my job to do, because you are responsible up until a certain point.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I think
I never looked at it that way. Trust me, I get it. And in my opinion, like I remember I used to clash with my mom a lot. A lot of it was just because I was so much like her. Like we were two very strong-willed individuals, and we like things our way. And obviously, because of just the relationship dynamic, she had the upper hand on me. And and I think I mentioned this last show, is just because you are older than somebody doesn't mean you're more experienced than them in every scenario. And as I grow and learn more, I was like, hey, that's not the right decision. That's not the right strategy. And her take was, I'm your mom, you should. And I'm like,
yeah,
well, history tells us it, and then obviously that pissed her off. So,
yeah.
you know what I mean? But in my opinion, I don't think that made either one of us dislike each other. It just made it a situation of where we knew, like, hey, man, like, we're going to just not engage in certain conversations because it's not going to end well.
I mean, there's that, but what if your parents are absolute scumbag? What if your kids are absolute scumbag? Somebody you wouldn't be friends with. Like, that's nobody I would be a friend with.
Right.
And if they're like that kind of person, like, even if they like do, like, you was cool with somebody and y'all were like associates, and you found out he was stealing stuff. He was a thief.
Yep.
You can't be friends with a thief, or you can't, like, because you're a thief. I understand you're a funny guy, or whatever, but I don't like you because you're a thief. And it only took that one action. So in regards of Boosie's daughter, like, you know what I'm saying, she does an action that he doesn't like, right?
Mm-hmm.
That could be justifiable. I'm not saying hate gays or anything like that, but you understand what I'm saying? Like, I don't like people who do that, and I'm, you know, so
yeah. So
I guess the question would be, how much leash do they get? Because somebody who's a thief gets one item on a checkoff list. Oh, you're a thief, I don't like you.
Yeah.
You
so I mean, I think it depends. Yeah, I mean, I think it depends on the relationship and who they are to you. Like you said, like a random person that, okay, we were cool and now you found out they smoke crack. Yeah, okay, I'm good. But like if it's your mom, like they're gonna have a whole lot more leash. So, and I'm not saying that they get an infinite number of lives with you. I'm not saying that, but they you know, obviously you get a certain level of
child in this point.
Yeah, so you get a certain right. So I mean, I think you get, and now and this is, I don't know if you agree with this. So the fact that it's your child, I heard a saying before that says, I don't believe in bad students, only bad teachers. So what is it that you did wrong that made them that way? So that's I would be they would get so much more leash because I'll be like, well, what did I miss and what did I not do to make them somebody that I don't like? That would be my question.
I mean, but you also know that your child is more influenced by their peers than they are you at a certain age, at a certain point. So maybe the influence from them peers took over everything you could have taught. You know what I'm saying? We know people that came from good parent homes, you know, 2-parent households, do well off, and then end up selling drugs. And be like, how you do that?
And what do we say about them?
They stupid.
Yeah, we be like, that's a damn fool. You had everything.
Right.
You had everything given to you. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you a damn, but we don't be like, but so as a parent, even that person's parent would be like, damn, I wish I would have taught them not to be such a follower. Damn, I wish I would have made them not, you know, made them detest that way of life to where it wouldn't even been attracted to them. Like I talked about that last show where I was like, man, I'm hopeful. Well, maybe that wasn't last show. Maybe me and you was just talking. And I was like, man, there's certain lessons that I don't even give my daughter because I think it's like her starting point should be above that. You know what I mean? So, you know, like we always talk about, why would I be giving ugly advice to a pretty person? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it don't make sense. Like that doesn't apply to me. Why would I be giving you that lesson? So, yeah. So, I mean, I just think that, you know, I think I would, but that's just me.
Do you encourage because I don't. Do you encourage your daughter to like you?
Do I encourage it? I guess no, I don't. But I think I try to lead by example in a way that would be like a bull. But I don't do anything specific to make her like me. Because we always talk about me being the guardrail and stuff like that. I would imagine that ain't gonna really make you like somebody. If anything, that's gonna make you kind of like, that ain't gonna make you dislike me, but that's gonna be like, man, that's kind of getting on my nerves. Now, eventually, later on down the road, I would imagine at some point it should be like, that's why that was important to him. But you know.
Yeah, I kind of encourage it the other way. Like, hey, I said that, okay, plenty of times, like, you don't have to like me. And if you feel like you don't want to need to speak to me and want to separate yourself, I encourage you to do whatever you feel like you want to do in that kind of regard. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, if I'm not your cup of tea, you don't got to force it. You know what I'm saying? Like, but you my dad. And no, I don't encourage you to be that way. I rather you do what you truly feel opposed to what you think is
So
the right
why?
thing to do.
So that's an interesting perspective. But why? Like, did you feel that he already didn't like you, or like why would you plant that seed?
No, it wasn't. I felt like he didn't like me. I just I think it's more of a, I hate when people say, "Oh, but that's your mom.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You should do this for you because that's your mom," or like, you know what I'm saying? Like, no, but mom is a crackhead. I mean, not my mom, but you understand? Like, but no, mom is abusive, or no, dad is XYZ. Like, you know what I'm saying? It ain't no, but that's just somebody. If they're abusing me, hurting me, or they not my vibe. You know what I'm saying? So, like, if this person's not my vibe, and this is not best for my mental stability, my mental health, my mental clarity, you know what I'm saying? Because those kind of emotions can get in the way of me making the correct decision. You understand what I'm saying? Like, you'll do something in a crash out way, knowing the person's toxic. Like you said, you ain't gonna put water in my foundation, right?
Yeah.
But because that person is who they are, I just use the shovel to get the water out, or I'll fix it later, or you'll let somebody ruin your foundation and destroy everything you built. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So that's why I kind of encourage, like, hey, you don't have to be. I think what it is, like, you don't have to be loyal to anybody that's to your detriment, or you feel to
including
your
me,
detriment, including me.
So it wasn't that you were saying, "Hey, don't like me," or if you don't, you were just saying, "This is a lesson for life," which includes, it applies to me too.
It applies to me as well. Yeah. So if I'm not healthy for you,
right,
please don't. You know what I'm saying? Cut it off. You know what I'm saying? So to the next question though, do you really know your child? Yeah.
No. But that's okay. And here's why. Before I go into like I'll talk about me, because I was very respectful and whatever at home. I was different outside. I was doing a lot outside. You know what I mean? Yeah. So that's just part of it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so, and you can't run from your genetics. So she has, she has half of me in her. So, because she comes off as very polished, very whatever, right? And, I'll do a random phone check and I'll be like, whoa.
Who is this? Yeah.
Like, when did we start talking like this? So, but that's okay. I guess you need an outlet to be able to, do ratchet stuff with your friends at some point, I guess. As long as there's a time and place for everything. And that's the way and that's the way I look at it. As long as I don't see anything that's going to be to the point to where you're going to ruin your future.
I wish I had that clip. I wish I had that. I would have played it. It would have been perfect time to play it. The little dude saying, I want to do ratchet things.
Right. Yeah, like, because you be like literally, I'll never forget. I was like, is there a third person on this thread? Like, I was like, what's going on? Like, I mean, it was bananas, but hey, listen, if that's the worst thing that, I got to worry about, okay. It's just some real foul language.
Yeah, but that's crazy though, because I've never heard man say certain things. You know what I'm saying? And then,
I didn't even know you knew how to string them together like that. I was
I get a call from the school like, "Oh yeah, your son's suspended for saying XYZ." What?
Yeah.
Wait, how did he use it? Like, what did you? I had to ask you, like, "Yo, what did you say?" And he tried to say it, but he said it separate. And I'm like, "Did you say it in which way?"
Right. In what context?
Like, in what context? Like, did you say this word first and that word second, or like, what? You know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't know you didn't say anything like that. So my mom used to say things a lot about, because I know you, or I know my son, or, you know what I'm saying? And one day I was just like, when I was old enough, I was just like, you don't know me. What? You're my son, blah, 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 blah. I know you. No, you do not know me. Because the things you say I do or how I feel, you don't know me. Like, that's not who I am. So
Right.
I've extended that plenty of, like, even to my kids. Like, hey, I understand. I'm not saying I know you, and I understand if I don't, but I'm willing to learn, like, you know what I'm saying, to get to know you. But again, that's on you to extend that. You know what I mean? That relationship of getting to know you if you even want me to. That might not be your vibe. You know what I'm saying? So you don't have to. You know, if you don't want me to know you, that's, hey, I'm not your vibe.
Well, I'm gonna be honest with you, man. You give a lot of like outs. I don't like because I'm planning for the best. Like you know what they say, like I don't have a plan B because plan A gotta work. Like that's how I look at it, because that's the way I wanted you know, my family and my structure set up once I was the one that was in control of it. So there is a certain level of, like I said, and even though I just said, like, obviously there's a whole component and facet of her that I don't know, but the one that I see and the one that I understand or whatever, like there's a standard and there's a certain level of character and actions that I'm not going for if it's not met. So if you choose to go out, you know, and as soon as you're not in my sight, you're going to, you know, do ratchet stuff with your friends, and that's who you become. That's on you, but it's never going to be okay here. So like, there's not an out for that. Like, I don't be like, hey, if you decided you just want to be ratchet full time, that's what you do. I'm like,
oh no,
yeah.
No.
I'm like, no,
you can't do it here.
Yeah,
I'm not saying you can. I'm not saying you can do it here.
Right.
I'm just saying if that's who you are, like, you know what I'm saying. Well, treat me like the job, because you're not gonna go to the job acting a fool because you want your check, and as soon as you get off the job, you do what you do, right?
Yeah.
So we can treat this relationship like a job. You know what I mean? And as soon as you are a certain age, like, hey, if you want to cut and be this person or do whatever, hey, you are free to do. You know what I'm saying? And trust me, I'm not going to hold any kind of, like, of course I would love a relationship and I love to know you, and I would love that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I've come into the realization that I've raised kids that are nothing like me. Or some like me, but nothing like me, and we don't like each other. You understand what I'm saying?
I was gonna say, no, I was gonna say, I think you're wrong. I mean,
wrong. But to a point though, like, we don't like each other. So like, if I don't like that, like, there might be things in me that kid has that I've been trying to work out of me.
100%. I think I don't know if that was last show I said that, but I heard a quote that it said that kids are all our insecurities out in front of you to see.
Yeah.
And I think generally whenever there's that type of an issue between parent and kid, that's exactly what's happening. It's stuff that you tried to bottle up or stuff that you tried to not show the world, just on full display, and that's why y'all are, you know, going at it about it. But you know, I mean, like I said, man, I'm going at it like this is gonna work, and this is gonna be, you know, we're gonna have a relationship, and I'm gonna, like, you know, I literally said, like, I'm of the belief that, you know, you live here until you get married and you go and live with your husband. Like,
but as long as she's in order.
Right, but that's what I'm saying.
She's not going to be going down to the boom room and then coming back and, you know, hey,
right. That's what I'm saying though. So we'll see. But I mean, I think there's a certain level of, but I also try to give her enough latitude to kind of do, you know, to grow and to learn and to make her own mistakes. Like, I'm not expecting her to be perfect, but at the same time, I feel I've put in enough effort and sacrifice and love to where it shouldn't be like poo on that, and I'm gonna just do what I want to do, like whatever, shut up, like, you know what I mean? So hopefully it never gets to that point.
Yes, we shall see. Next question. Should you accept your child for who they are?
Depends what they are. Yeah, I can't just accept anything. I'm gonna just keep it funky. You know, I know I've heard.
Rock. Let's say your daughter or your child turned into a headbanger. You good with that?
I mean, if that's like on her own time, like
no. She goes to school like that. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, like I wouldn't love it, but are you doing the things that I mandated? Like your dress and your taste in music and stuff like that. Like I don't mandate that.
Piercings in the lip, in the nose.
Yeah, like you starting
Straight
to
A's.
look,
Straight
man,
A's.
like they're starting to veer now. I'm like, you're starting to veer now.
Purple hair,
Right.
piercings in the lip, nose. Straight
Yeah,
A's though. Valedictorian.
You starting to veer now. There will be a conversation for sure. That's not saying that I would accept it, but I'd be a little bit more open because there's always a different extreme, right? So you could be like, oh, you're doing that, to where the opposite could be like you out here, doing something a little different, you having babies and whatever. Yeah. So, but at the same time, I would hope that there was enough of a dialogue to be like, hey, this could just be a phase. Let's not put permanent holes in your face and tattoos on your face when you may not feel this way 4 years from now.
Interesting interview I was listening to with I'll just say the name. I ain't gonna say what she do, but you'll understand. Trump.
Okay.
And he was
talking. Why would you listen to an interview? But okay.
Because she was talking about her relationship with her dad.
Ooh.
And
okay.
The relationship was her dad was bragging on who his daughter was and who his daughter was being.
Was he in jail?
No, he was a regular dude, but he would brag to his friends about the guys that she was sleeping with. Like my baby just slept with Kevin Durant or somebody, like, you know what I'm saying? Like so she was bragging. He was like they had that kind of weird relationship where the dad was bragging about. So he's fully accepted who and what, you know what I'm saying? Or I don't even think I said Kevin Durant, but I think it was just the local star athlete of the town. Like that's what it really was. Like, you know what I'm saying? So the dad was bragging about who she's doing stuff with, and I mean that's full on acceptance. It's like, yeah, my daughter's going to Harvard. Yeah, my daughter just slept with, you know what I mean?
Like
third quarterback. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, she's the best. So that's what I'm saying. Like, do you accept your child
for anything? No, I'm just and I've been honest about that with her. Because there's levels to. I mean, there's a standard that I feel that is acceptable, and like I always say, man, like don't embarrass the name on the back of your jersey. That's all I ask. I ain't even saying you got to be. Yeah, I ain't even saying you got to be the best.
I'll change it.
Please do. if you know it's like this is going to bring shame, please do. Have a different name. Like, please do.
I'll change my name.
You know what I mean? Like, so, but at the end of the day, though, like, in all seriousness, like, I want her to be able to live her life. I don't want her to just be a robot of everything that I poured into her. Like, because at the end of the day, like, you'll get to a point where you'll be like, yo, I did all this. I went through all this school. I went through all this doing the right thing, and I'm unhappy.
Yeah.
I don't want that. I don't want that for her. I don't want that for anybody. You know what I mean? Like, I know at a certain point I had the flexibility to do what I wanted to do. Because I know from the time I was 6 years old, man, I was like, man, I'm gonna be a doctor. And the people that loved me and the people that knew me best always knew that was what was going to be. And it just so happened that, like my grandfather had passed right before I, decided to change majors and stuff like that. But like that was one of his dying, statements was. That was it was just one of his dying statements. Like there was never a doubt in his mind. He was like, hey, my grandson gonna be a doctor, right? Like, make sure you show him, like, because he was in the hospital and stuff. They're like, make sure you show him, what you're doing. Man, like I used to have issues with it, man. Like, dang, man, I didn't follow through on whatever I told him. However,
that would be hard. That would be hard.
It was for a while. But in like building a better relationship with my dad and stuff like that. He even spoke to me about it. He was like, hey, you became a man that he would be proud of. And that's how I
But he released you of it, but
yep. And that's how I reconcile.
But no, let's talk about that though, because he's an underachiever, right?
Yep.
So he gave you the out to be an underachiever at the same time.
Yep. So, but that's how I reconciled it. But that's how I reconciled it, because literally I was like, oh, like I struggled with that for a while. Like hell, I had actually moved. I'd actually already moved down here. So I'd already been out of college for a few years, and not that I even wanted to do it, and my life was already too chaotic and too filled to be trying to do this. But I was looking into getting into law school. I was studying for the LSAT and trying to potentially go to med school, but it just was too much for what I had going on at the time. But if anything, it was for other people. It wasn't for me.
It wasn't for you. That's the reconcile. That's what I was looking for, right? Yep. Like, well, that was good, and that's something I would say. But for me, I am happy with doing what I'm doing, right? But I would struggle with that, but I'm only saying I would struggle with that because I didn't have anybody to pour into me like dying fulfillment or whatever, right? And I'm like, I wish I had somebody that cared that much. They'd be like, yeah, you're going to be a such and such, and now I had to like live up to it. It would just give me that extra little motivation. So that was my own little thing. Like,
do
you need to earn your child's respect?
I don't know if you need to earn it. You need to keep it. Because we talked about it before, like the different steps of parenting, and I think I had like the hero, the template, and that all that stuff that we talked about last time. So, but I think there's things you can do and things that you can say they can lose it. But I think it's just off of the natural order of things. It's something you're born with it. You have their respect, but you can lose it. Like you out here drinking and smoking in front of them, or you out here being, just making poor decisions in front of them. You can lose it very easily. I could see that. So I think you have to work to keep it for sure.
Yeah. I agree. My little guy thinks he's a superhero. So the more he sees me not being a superhero, he just looks at me like, see, that's why you'll never be great. Like he throws that at me. I'm like, yes. Because they'd be like, man, where's your abs at? Here's mine.
I'm telling you, like I said, man, hero. Like the first thing that I put is hero. Like that was that's literally hero. You know what I mean? And so with that being said, I think that pushes you if you're worth anything, and if you really care about that, like it's gonna push you to be like, because let's be fair, man, we getting old, man. Like you like really? Like, I don't know.
You'd be like, look, man, I got him. I'm 7. I got mine. Where's your ab?
Yeah, you like, bro, like really?
Like every time,
right, man, come on, let's go in the gym. Like, look, man, let's go in the gym. But normally, you like, man, shut up, kid. Like, man, I ain't trying to hear none of that. Like, man, here, go watch some of my tape. I did this already. Like, you know what I mean?
You need to work out more. Stop eating that. You be monitoring my portions. Ain't that too much? Should you be eating spaghetti?
Yeah,
I thought noodles was bad for you.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, you can lose it. Like, you don't have to earn it. Like, you got it. Like your cup's full. Like, I mean, like it comes full. It's up to you to make sure it don't.
Every time you don't show out,
he'd be like, "Oh
man, a little sip of that."
Hey, like
it was a sacred grill at first. Don't drink from that cup,
right?
And now it get more and more tip. Like
you'd be like, "Man, it's up to me now." Like he would be like, "Man, it's up to me." Golly. Like, man, I'm gonna make this last name mean something at this point. You know what I mean?
Yeah, true. I thought you had. I thought I came into a birthright, man. I got it. Yeah. Oh man, I think you'll like this question. But I wish Leifer was here, because his perspective. We might have to run it back. I'm about to send him the questions just so he can answer and patch it in.
Right.
But is it okay for your kids to place boundaries on you? And if so, what boundaries are acceptable?
Heck yeah. So 100%. I just dealt with it just now. We actually And obviously it's different as the age of that kid grows, but literally, so I just dealt with it just now. So we were actually out dress shopping for homecoming, and she had picked something up, and I was like, like, nah. And she was like, and I was like, again, like, I'll give you enough leash, but there's some things like this. If it's below the line, it's a no. There's something I'll be like, all right, well, that's your choice. But then there's something just like, no, that's below the line. Like, nah, like your whole back's out. Like,
no, not you put some boundaries. Them place some boundaries on you.
But yeah, that's what I was about to say.
Okay.
So then, I placed, my boundaries or whatever. And if anything, like you would have thought, oh, it's a dictatorship now. Now that means, okay, I picked the dress and this is what you're wearing. That wasn't what happened. It was like, okay, that's a guardrail. I hit the guardrail. Okay. So within this road, though, I have the latitude and the flexibility to make my choices through there, because there was literally 3 choices. She went with the one that would have been my third choice. And she was like, and I was like, well, I like that one. She was like, well, I like this one. I'm the one that got to wear it. And I was like, hey, I don't have any moral issue with it. It's a preference. Yeah. So I was like, hey, she set a boundary. Like, hey, this is what I'm wearing. This is what I got to wear. And I was like, you know what, you're right. So, so it's hard to like. Would you say it's hard to like a disrespectful kid? Mm-hmm. Whew, you're right about that. So, now that's a whole different thing. Yeah, like if you're being disrespectful, yeah, we ain't even talking about like at this point. I'm gonna clear your Zoom call for you. Be like, shoot, like I work too hard to be, spending my bread and spending my time and my energy. We already know I could have been on a plane somewhere. I you know what I mean? Like I don't have to be here. I could have paid my child support and got up out of there. But like, so you're going to appreciate the effort and the time. Man, I heard it called, I called it, no, I won't even go there. But so the biggest thing is that she was able to set those boundaries. And I feel that's a healthy evolution of our relationship, to where it's not everything that daddy says goes. It's within reason. What I mean? So she did set that boundary. So yeah, I think that's good. And I think that proves that I'm raising a well-rounded, somewhat confident young adult.
So I mean, I as you say, I give a lot of outs, right? Yeah. So mine's definitely placed boundaries on me. Even when it comes to like touching, you know what I'm saying? Like they don't like to be touched certain ways, or they don't like to be kissed certain ways, or like, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm touchy, so like I'll always like touch their head or something like that.
Yeah.
And like they be like, get off my head, like, you know what I'm saying? But I have to
really,
yeah, but I have to respect that. Sometimes it's cool. Yeah. Like sometimes it'll be like, whatever. Like one of them is like, I'm cool with it. The other one's like, if you don't get off me, like, you know what I'm saying? And then the older ones,
yeah.
There's cool, but then he'll look at me and be like, nah, you know what I'm saying? Like, this is mad awkward, yo. Like, you know what I'm saying? So
yeah,
so I encourage, and I like the fact that they're placing these kind of boundaries. Like even the little one is like, and he tells both me and his mom, like, don't smack me on the butt. Like, what are you doing? Like, you know what I'm saying?
No,
yeah, like we're just like, you know what I mean?
Whether I made a big player or not, he said,
don't smack me on the butt. You know what I'm saying?
No, just don't do it.
And then like his mom did it again, and he's like, I told you I don't like that. Don't smack me on the butt. Like, so I like the fact that he's able. He speaks his piece.
He's able to advocate for himself.
Yeah, I love it. You know what I'm saying? So, but like I said, then the other one, like they all have different boundaries when it comes to like the touching or the physical touch, or just what you might say, or
what you just how you gonna treat me, like, ain't that
or how you gonna treat? They all have yeah. Like,
because I think the generation we came up in. So the generation we came up in, I don't think we were empowered to do any of that.
Right.
So this is the evolution of our parenting and how we see the world. Because trust me, man, I wish I would have told some, like, you know what I mean? Man, shoot, matter of fact, I remember my dad used to grab me by my head like this and pick me up. and I hated it, but he did it until I couldn't, you know what I mean? Until he couldn't do it no more. And I remember my grandma would be the one to tell him, but I never was like, oh, I don't like that. Like, don't do that no more. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so like the fact that we're empowering our kids to be like, yo, no, I don't like that. So
yeah.
I think that speaks to our evolution as parents.
Yeah. No, you know how many old ladies that I had to kiss off of?
Yeah.
Come here, baby. Let me kiss. Like,
some of that smell
your grandma's like, man,
haunts
be
me.
nice.
Some of that smell still haunts me.
Oh my God. I don't know what that is. It mothballs or something?
Look,
what is that smell?
White diamonds. Still smelling white diamonds perfume. It's still it makes me nauseous.
Yo, listen though. You know how we had the conversation about bringing the conversation to your parents now that you're an adult? I just had the conversation with my grandmother. Like, you know how many old people you put me around that I hated going over every time? I hated going over those old people's houses, like the high-rise buildings, going and sitting in there. Like, you was the only old person I liked. I didn't want to be around them old people and being nice to them, like, because it was weird. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're over here being generous to your friends that are old and don't got other friends, so you're like helping them, and that's your moral duty or whatever you're doing with that. But I didn't want to be a part of that, and I hated every minute of it. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I didn't want to do none of that. I ain't gonna say she made us, but she definitely had us like a whole mom group when we was kids, yo. And we used to go
like mom.
Yes. Yes.
You was a mom.
She called it, me and all my cousins. We was called the Steps of Hope.
The Steps of Hope.
And we used to go from high rise to high rise performing for old people, bro.
You were stuck in the box, you know?
Yo, I swear.
I need the VHS of that. I gotta see that.
There's no proof.
Hilarious.
There is no proof of that. But the steps, we was the Steps of Hope, and we would go to all these old people's houses and do mimes. It was terrible.
See, I was different. See, I was the total opposite, man. Like, so I always had a certain level of discernment of who was successful and who had knowledge. So I liked being around old people that was going to give me game. Old people that was going to be like, you know, just old. I didn't really care to be around them. You old and smell funny, I'd be like, but you would always see me. Now, granted, I would always be up under the old person that had a lot of stories to tell. So, but and that's why I kind of.
You were old men.
What's that?
It sounds like you had old men to be around, though.
Yeah, because I think that's what was important, right? Because I knew that there was, for something I was just like, you know, this is what I need. That's how I felt. And I felt it's gonna sound wild, it's gonna be very male chauvinist, but there was a lot of emotional instability in old women. And I was just like, their emotions was driving them like in different, and I was just like I don't want to be like that. Like that was always my thought. Like, if I'm around them and I emulate them too much, I'm gonna end up like them. So I was like, okay, who can I be around that I couldn't emulate? So I always would pick that out. So that's always been a thing for me. Like, people that were mentors and stuff like that, that were around me. I sought them out more than maybe they sought me out. I was like, I want to be like you. And I would find a way to, you know, make it to be okay for me to be around, or if it was beneficial for me to be around. Mm-hmm. Because I never wanted to be a burden, but I also knew that there was something that I could get from them.
I was around a lot of old women.
Yeah.
And there was no jewels.
So I would imagine a lot of that came from, you know, y'all just being in the church.
The church, me being with my grandma, right? Like, because, you know what I'm saying? Like
I tell the story all the time because, like, I know you talk about it now. Like, hey, I don't really be in the Bible. Like I almost feel like I was in it so much. Like literally, I went to church 3 days a week at one point, like Bible study and this and like hell. I even hooped, whatever the hoop night was, I was in the church hooping. Like so, that was 4 nights a week. And I always tell the story. I ain't gonna say the only reason, but the biggest reason I got into organized football was because I heard that the game was on Sundays and I wouldn't have had to go to church. Like, because I was a hooper.
Yeah.
And once I heard that, I was like, say less. Let's go.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so
like no church. I go play football instead of church.
Yeah, it was an easy decision for me.
I've just never been I like church growing up, it was cool. I was, there was always a little cute girl or something at the church. I was going to church for the wrong reason. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it was always about the girl for me. So, but
shout out to the church because that's what helped me be able to read because they were forcing me to read the Bible. So that helped me be a lifelong learner and a lifelong reader. Because of that's where I kind of got my start. My family, like, and so, like, for example, it was predominantly on my mom's side. Man, it's a very female dominated family. It was 5 sisters and 1 brother. So, or 4 and 1, 4 girls.
Were they like Miss Lewis?
No, they're all different. Like, from head of XYZ to crackhead. Like, it was like,
I'm asking is the spirit like Miss Lewis? Though?
That's what I'm saying. No, some yes, some not. Yeah. Yeah, like it was a very wide range, and it was like the whole rainbow. I had you could do whatever you want. Like, if you decide, okay, I want to get in some trouble, go with that on. If you want to learn something, go with that. Like, whatever you wanted, you can get into it in this family. And I just tend to I tend to err on the side of the more productive. That was where I generally landed for whatever reason. I don't know why, but I did.
Got you. I guess that's the last question. I didn't think we were gonna get this far, but we wouldn't have got this far.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we covered a lot of stuff though. How do you manage mental illness in your kid?
So one, and this is just for me. One, let's openly talk about it, right? And then let's openly have a conversation as to say, to be honest enough to say, I'm not equipped as the parent. I'm not equipped to help you with this. Let's get you some help. Mm-hmm. Whether it be counseling, whether it be, because I've been known to be like, man, this is some BS. This is an excuse. You know what I mean? And I've been called out for it. Like, you don't take this stuff serious. We've talked about it, man. October 24th is the day, man, for the SAT. And man, you start throwing a word around like test anxiety and, oh, this test is culturally biased. And I start feeling like this is an excuse. You know what I mean? I'm like, this feels like an excuse to me. So, so that's the biggest thing, is being open and honest about it. And then lastly is acknowledging when you just aren't equipped to handle whatever that mental illness is. And this is going to sound bad, but being real enough to say, no, that's just poor choices.
To me, that don't sound bad, but I can see how the crowd might take it.
Yeah, because folks be like, oh, you're shaming, victim shaming. I'm like, no, like, if you're crazy, you would do it with everybody. You know what I mean? Like, if you're mentally ill, you just be doing it. Like, you wouldn't pick and choose. Like, like how you, how you gonna pick and choose when you gonna be crazy? I'm like, nah, like, this is just poor choices. So,
is that how you detect? That's what you think? Crazy is crazy all the time.
That's always been look. This has always been my detector, right? So, like I said, I grew up in the church. At the same time, every service, lady kick her shoes off, run around. And I was like, yo, I'll never forget. But one day I was like, man, I'm gonna trip this lady or something, man. But that was to me, like, because if you crazy, man, it ain't gonna just hit then. You just whatever, you know what I'm saying? You gonna just do whatever. Yeah. Like, nah, man. I was like, man, this is orchestrated, man. Like, this is right before the collection plate go around. I'm like, nah, like,
hey,
so for me,
and she would do it whenever there wasn't even a word being said. Like, it was just a timer thing. Like,
you know what I mean?
That was good enough for you to get up and run around. Like, dude, you feel the Holy Ghost like that, man? I used to think there's something wrong with me.
So the only time it would get a little like, because I was like, man, like there's poor choices and then it's crazy, right? I was like, man, it's just her wanting to be seen, right? But the one thing that always used to bother me, and we're probably talking about the same person because we attended the same church, but when she would start speaking in tongues, it always freaked me out for some reason. Always freaked me out, and I was like, well, maybe there's something to this.
Yeah.
So, because that's one thing. I don't necessarily play with the spiritual. I don't, you know what I mean? I got jokes about everything, but I'm like, that's too far. You know what I mean? Like I said before in a previous podcast, I said, if you live like ain't no God, you better hope you're right. You know what I mean? So I refuse to play them type of games. Like I'm like, okay, if she crazy enough to play with it, that's all her. But I choose not to play with it. So, but when I used to hear that type of stuff, I'm gonna take it serious. But I'm like, man, you old lady. I'm like, all right, man, you gonna pop a hamstring, but okay. But yeah, for sure. Like, but in all seriousness, no, when it comes to mental health, man, I take it serious. But at the same time, there needs to be like a certain level of like, it should be involuntary for me. It should be involuntary. You shouldn't pick and choose when you're going to be crazy. And I'm like, nah, this is just poor choices. And acknowledge it when you need to get some professional help for somebody who's actually trained for that instance.
But yeah, man, that's our hour. We made it.
Hey, man, another slow Tuesday.
It's a slow Tuesday for today. But I was late for would have been. I wish Hit would have been on this too because he would have got some good. We might have to run it back. I'm gonna send him the questions, and I'm like, y'all gotta answer these questions.
Right.
But yeah, hey, that's Prototype Dad.